Hello everyone, I'm Rebecca and welcome back to my sewing room. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited for fall. And it's September, which means even though the calendar doesn't think so yet, in my opinion, it's fall. It's time for cozy things and pumpkin spice lattes and fall projects. So I am really excited to dive into all of my fall projects. I kind of have a lot. Actually, I have 5. 4 of them are going to be sort of daily wear items, and then the 5th one we are going back to the 1890s for a wonderful fall walking suit type ensemble. So I wanted to show you first what all is in store for you with these daily wear items. Now, I was talking to my Patreon patrons a few days ago because I do a once a month live chat with my Patreon patrons, and they were really helping me to decide what project to do first, what sort of project it should be, etc. And one of the things that I have realized is, now you may have seen a lot of jumper dress projects on this channel, but you know what I realized? None of them are for fall. So, of course, we are going to be doing a couple of fall jumper dresses, plus a not jumper dress and another not jumper dress. So I've got 4 dresses that I'm going to be making, and 2 of them are jumpers just to, fill out my wardrobe a little more. And then 2 of them are kind of collaborations that I'm doing with the rest of the costume community. So I will talk about those here as well. But let's look at the first project on my list here. I'm going to show you all of the fabrics for all 4 projects and also talk about some of the patterns. Then we're going to dive into that first project. So project number 1, and again, my patrons helped me decide which one to do first because I love all these fabrics and I couldn't choose. This one is project number 1. So we have a wonderful pumpkin print with glitter outlining all of the pumpkins on a black background. I just fell in love with this. I don't know, I think it's the glitter and the pumpkins in combination. But at first I was thinking I really wanted to make kind of a really basic looking 1950s dress with this, like a short sleeve, round neckline, fitted bodice, full skirt sort of thing. Kind of like the Bambi dress, but round neck. And then I realized I have a few of these 50s cotton print dresses that are short sleeve and stuff, and I never really wear them. And what I wear are the jumper dresses. So therefore, this should be a jumper dress. So that's what this one is going to be. And I wanted to do something different. All of these are going to be different. I'm not repeating the same project because that would be boring. So this one is going to be something like a square neckline. It will be either a full square neckline or a square with a little notch cut out right here, or possibly a sweetheart neckline. And then it will go up with the straps, and the straps I'm planning to have cross in the back and have a little bit lower of a back with naturally a full skirt. So that is project number 1. Project number 2 is this wonderful cotton plaid. I saw this and it kind of made me think of like Halloween meets Queen's Gambit a little bit. And so then I was thinking, okay, well, I want a jumper dress that is a little bit more basic. Now I know that in Queen's Gambit, hers has a very deep V in the front, but I'm not really a big fan of that look. So what I'm going to do with this jumper dress is that it's going to be a sort of a higher scooped or possibly boat neck, one of those. And the straps are going to be built in one with the bodice, so not separate straps or anything. I haven't yet decided on the first one if they're going to be separate or not separate, but this one they're going to be definitely built in, probably a pretty high neck in the back as well, and then of course a full skirt. But I might also do exterior giant pockets on this because they kind of loved that in the 1950s, and I have yet to try those really odd kind of pockets. So I may very well do that with this fun print. Following that, I haven't yet decided what order these are going to go in. Both of them are collabs, so I might also have to see what order people are putting out their videos in. But let me show you the cotton print one first, which is this really fun Halloween print. I don't know which way it's supposed to go, so I'll show you all of the ways. Now, this is a semi-metallic print, as in like the crow's heads and the cat's ear and tails and parts of the moon and stuff. Those are metallic, whereas the rest of it is just flat printed. And this is going to be for a collaboration in the costume community called Gunny Saxoween. So we're kind of taking Gunny Sax dresses as inspiration and using Halloween prints to get there. So that's what this is going to be. I haven't yet decided what the other fabrics or trims or anything like that are going to be. I do have some inspiration images saved, of course, of various Gunny Sax dresses that I really love. And so that's where we're going with this one. But if you're not familiar with Gunny Sax, think very like 1970s does the Victorian. And I'm excited to do that with this fabric. Lastly though, and again, I don't know what order these are coming in, but I think this is the most exciting of my fall projects probably. And I have been talking about this one for a while because I originally wanted to do it last year, but just could not find the right fabrics. And that is, I'm making a spooky strawberry dress. I'm so excited. I have wanted one of these since like August of last year, I think, since I first saw the strawberry dress. And then of course Rachel Maxey went and did a spooky strawberry dress with pumpkins last year, and I was like, oh, I wanted to do that, but I couldn't find the fabric. So I have found the fabric, or should I say fabrics. These are the fabrics, and I'm going to get glitter everywhere. So what's going on here is that we have a purple cotton, plain cotton fabric, and that's going to be the base layer. Then there is this purple glitter tulle that sheds absolutely everywhere. It's really pretty ridiculous. And maybe 1 or 2 layers of that, I haven't yet decided. And then on top of that is this glitter spider web fabric. So I am just loving this combo. It catches so much light with the glitter. I am so excited, but yeah, I'm gonna be like sweating glitter. It's gonna be gross. It's gonna be everywhere. Literally, this fabric has been sitting on my dining room table since I purchased it over a month ago. And when my friends and I, Emily and Rachel, went to the Renaissance Fair here a few weeks ago, we decided we wanted to be glittery. So since this fabric happened to be sitting out and I knew how much this fabric sheds, I was like, well, we could just take this fabric, this purple glitter tulle fabric, and just shake it over each other and wind up totally covered, oh no, in glitter, which is what I now am, totally covered in glitter for the rest of my life. So those are my 4 daily wear type projects. I am so thrilled that it's finally time to get started. I have been waiting so much to finish that 1890s bodice so that I could get started on these fall projects. And the first one we're going to dive into is that pumpkin jumper dress. One thing that may be happening with these is that they may bleed week to week into different videos because I am still in rehearsals for Little Women, which, by the way, tickets are now on sale. So the day of filming this, I posted on my community tab what days I will be playing Jo and what days I will be playing Meg, since if you missed that announcement prior, I am trading off with another actress and we're both trading off on the roles. So I will put all of that information down in the description below as well if you are in the South Puget Sound area and you are interested in attending the show September 24th through October 10th, and tickets are down below in the description. And please do let me know if you're coming. I would absolutely love to meet you afterwards. But because of rehearsals and performances for that, I obviously have less sewing time right now. So I'm going to be using all of my possible time. Normally, I would be able to make a dress like any of these in about 1 week. However, with the rehearsals and everything added into my schedule, I have a feeling these dresses might take me about a week and a half. So I may be bleeding these videos where there'll be like a dress, 3/4 of a dress in this video, and then finishing that dress but starting the next one in the next video, because I'm going to try to keep these as weekly what I'm doing in the week projects. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started on that first pumpkin dress. The The first thing that we have to do for this dress is decide on our pattern and make a mock-up. So with the help of my patrons, which if you are interested in becoming one of my patrons, I do have a link to my Patreon down in the description below, and then you can also join in on these monthly live chats and get early access to videos and sneak peeks of projects and all that other stuff. So that will be down in the description. But my patrons really helped me decide that I wanted to make this pattern right here, Bodice 5748. I really like the kind of plainer neck in front and then that scoop out in the back with the bows on there. And I like the notch on the neck as well. And I thought that would be really cute. And I was like, great. This pattern, you know, I haven't used it before, goes from 14 to 22. I might have to size up one size, but no big deal. And then I pulled it out and realized I bought this pattern used. Yeah, so it's cut to a size 16. It had a full bust adjustment already set in the pattern, and it was also shortened half an inch in the body, right? You're laughing too. Yeah, all of that is stuff that does not work for me. So I do have that pattern. I undid the shortening of the body, I undid the full bust adjustment, and I have that pattern back to its normal size 16 state, but obviously size 16 is way far off of the size 22 or 24 that I actually need. So there's a lot of drafting up that will have to happen with this pattern. However, I also did pull out this pattern, which was one of my other choices for the project. That's Bodice 6556, which is one of the Gertie Bodice patterns. And it also has the notched collar, it has a square neckline, and a slightly higher back. But I'm thinking I can probably combine these two patterns. This one was not cut out, so I can easily do a size 22, and I can combine the patterns to get what I'm looking for. I have to change the straps anyway on both of them because I really do like the cross strap look in the back. That was just a fun idea that one of my friends suggested. So I'm gonna wind up changing them anyway. So the first thing is, let's go ahead and cut out a mock-up of some sort of combo of these two patterns. So I've got the pattern for the Gertie pattern. That's what I've got right here. And I'm just kind of comparing it to the jumper that I have on, which I didn't actually plan, but it works out really well. And the reason, by the way, that I'm not just copying this jumper pattern, besides the fact that I've obviously already made it, is that this one has princess seams, and that is frankly not something that they did in the 1950s, and I'm making this a 1950s style jumper dress. So I don't want to use princess seams, I want to use darts. This has darts. So that's why we're going for here. However, one of the things that I don't like about this pattern from the envelope is just how awkwardly wide the square neckline is. And I am definitely noticing that even by holding it up here, because if I hold this up, I just get that it's like, feels, I don't know, I feel like it feels really far out. I could be wrong on that, but it feels very far out. Obviously, the other thing that is really the issue here is that this strap goes to here on my shoulder. Yeah, we're like 2 inches too short at least. So I need to significantly increase that strap. And that's just kind of setting this at a point where I'm about a ½ inch above where my jumper is. In other words, space for the seam allowance. So that's where I want that. And then this again is also hitting close-ish to where my jumper is that I'm wearing. It's pretty close. So that should be decent there. And I'll just need to add significantly to the strap. I might leave the neckline as is on the mock-up and then see how much it needs to change. I do also need to increase the actual length, not by very much, but this is hitting me, I'd say about a ¼ inch to a ½ an inch above my actual waist. And obviously I need seam allowance added on that. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and add 1 inch to the bottom and add whatever is missing there to the top, and probably size up to the size 24 because this is size 22 pattern and it's not hitting the side. So probably size up to the 24 and then go from there for my mock-up and see how that works. So I totally and completely lied in that last assessment of what all I was changing. I then decided, instead of just holding up the paper pattern to myself. I would do a little bit better of a job. I would pin out the darts as they are on the paper pattern, and then I would pin the paper pattern to the center front of my dress and kind of pin it in place like on the shoulder and just see how it was fitting and what it needed. And all of those before estimates that I had would have been garbage. It would not have worked. So I'm so glad that I did this, because it's like the opposite almost. First off, I don't need to add any length at all to the bottom down here. In fact, I actually need to remove some of the length at the sides because it is going way past a half an inch past my natural waist. And that's kind of typical-ish because I'm soy backed. I usually need to adjust the back, and often it tapers to the side as well. The front seems just about perfect as is, so that one's good. The other big thing is this literally needs to go up 2.5 inches. It's, yeah, I knew it was a lot. But the biggest fit issue here is that I need to change the angle of the strap somehow. So I put a little dart in here, and I have not yet transferred this to the flat to see what that will look like. But basically, where the strap was angling, I was getting the strap kind of like coming in here, and or I was getting a big excess right here above the bust. And again, this is a common thing for me. It's kind of hard to do center front fold pieces, which this is, because I always find that I need a big curve above the bust or else it gaps. And that's one of the nice things about princess seams, is that you can fix that issue really easily with princess seams. It's a little bit harder with darts because you have to like angle things. So that's what we're working on here, to figure out how to get that angled. Also, I had talked about making this move in, which is what I'm going to do. This is going to be a 1/2 inch wider this way, the strap, and likewise a 1/2 inch wider this way. Because the other big thing is that you can see right here in the armpit where I have created that dart, it is way far away from my armpit, and jumper dresses in the 50s were pretty closely fitted, like the one that I'm wearing currently. So to bring it out to where the current one is, that's actually adding in 2 inches to get out there, plus have the seam allowance. So yeah, I need to add 2 inches here, and then it'll taper out here and taper out, I believe, under the arm. Actually, I forgot to check that measurement. So no, that one needs to go up too, to bring it up under the arm. So yeah, lots of changes. And now I'm going to attempt to figure out this strap angle issue thing here flat and get it into the actual fabric. Not the actual fabric, get it into a mock-up. So I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going wrong with this mock-up. I wound up actually just grabbing the back piece, this white section, from the mock-up, or at least what was in the pattern envelope of my blue gingham dress that I made a few months ago, because I knew that that had a lower back and darts and was all one panel, and then it had straps that attached. So that's what I was aiming for with doing the cross straps, but something is not right. It's pulling weirdly in the back. I can't tell what's going on because it's in the back. So like it's pulling weirdly on my shoulder blades, and then it's also, I think, causing this to buckle. I don't think I would have that problem without the cross straps. And I don't know if it's that they're too tight or they're the wrong angle or what, but I feel like I'm not going to be able to figure all that out on my own because it's behind me. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I do have a little extra length that I can play with. Not a ton, but I have a little, maybe 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, something like that, I think, that I could play with there. Maybe let it out a little, because something, and it's like, this, obviously, the seam allowance has to be folded down in the armpits, but it's causing this to pull into my armpits. Like this part right here is just kind of jamming me in the armpits. And I don't know why. I folded down the seam allowances for the straps already, so they are the actual width that they will be. But I feel like they're also still really wide for going into the back there. Now, the back of this bodice, I had a note on this from the gingham dress. It is meant to be higher. It's meant to be like 1 inch higher with seam allowance and stuff. So I tried to use a very tiny seam allowance with these straps, but I'm sure it still could be higher. That said, it's hitting me at the waist exactly where it should be. So I suppose it doesn't have to be higher. It's just weird. And obviously it doesn't match under the arms either, because this is supposed to be about 5/8, I think, of an inch higher under the arm and then an inch higher in the back. But yeah, I don't know what's going on here, but I have to figure this out. So since the bodice was not being very kind to me in that mock-up, I've decided instead that it is time to do some floor trolling and to cut out the skirts, and then I'll return to the bodice because actually my friend Emily is coming over tonight and I'm hoping that maybe she can help me, since the main bodice fitting issues, really a lot of it had to deal with the back and adjusting those straps and everything, and it's just, it's impossible. I mean, it's not impossible. It's very, very difficult. I'm trying to continuously take on and off the bodice to adjust strap angles in the back. So hopefully she can help me with that. And in the meantime, I am going to floor troll it out. And I think I'm actually going to go ahead and cut out skirts for almost all of these fall projects, because all of them I want gathered circle skirts. Or I might pleat some of them, but I want a circle skirt that is larger than my waist measurement around. And so the way that I'm going to do that, I've done this kind of in more detail in some past videos. I think it was probably the first jumper dress video, the purple one, that I did this in. So I will link that down below and also up above here. But basically, when you are looking at a gathered circle skirt, if you have a lot of fabric, which I did buy a lot of all of these fabrics, so I should be okay with all of this, is that you want to find what is the width of your fabric first off. So this width of the fabric is 41 3/4 inches wide. And I know that my preferred skirt length is 31 inches. So once you add in seam allowance and hem, that's 32.5 inches. So that means that once I subtract that 32.5 from the 41.75 inches total, that means that I can have a max radius for my waist measurement of 9.25 inches. And that's great because I went online to find a circumference calculator type situation, and I found that the circumference of that 9.25 inches is 58 inches. So since my waist is about 40 to 41 inches, that gives me pretty good extra to play with. Not really enough for like pleating, but it's certainly enough for gathering. And so that will give me that really, really nice, flowy, huge, circle-y skirt, which I'm in love with circle skirts. They're the best. So also, because circle skirts require you to hang out the fabric for a while, at least 24 hours before you hem it, if I cut them all now, then I can just kind of like let the other ones hang for a while until I get to that project. And I can use the first one that I cut out as the template for all of the others, because I still haven't actually created a circle skirt pattern. I probably should, but the way that I do it is I draw out with a ruler I find my center point where the center of my waist is. Generally I'll do it on the fold, and I will draw out that 9.25 inches. Then I will draw out from that arc the 32.5 inches all the way around on the fabric. So I should just make a paper pattern. I know this. Maybe I will. Probably not, but maybe I will. But even if I don't make a paper pattern, I can cut out piece 1 and piece 2 here, and then cut out piece 1 and piece 2 on the plaid fabric, on the purple base, probably even on the spiderweb tool and on the sparkly tool, and probably 2 layers of the sparkly tool. And I can do all of that in one go and just spend the next few hours on the floor cutting out all of those circles because they are too big to fit on my table. So that's what I'm gonna go do. I'll stretch a little first because that's a lot of floor trolling, and I will see you after I've cut everything out. So I just finished cutting out almost all of the pieces. I ran out of the purple tool, but you can tell it's kind of made a mess on my floor, and it has also transformed my leg into a glitter-covered leg. I hope I'm not on foot YouTube now. Okay, that's all. So I'm using my dress form just to like hang the skirts out on. And can I just say that I kind of love this combo? Yeah, I haven't put my bodice away yet, but oh my gosh, that's like, I might wear that. I might have to. So the floor trolling today has paid off. I have cut out all of my skirts. I've put them pretty much all on the dress form. They're all here, except that I ran out of the tool before I could cut all of the tool pieces. So I have one more piece of tool that I need to cut. Hopefully I'll be able to go get some more at Joann's tomorrow, and then I can cut this out as well. And then that means that all of my skirts will be cut out for the pumpkin dress, the plaid dress, and the spooky strawberry dress. I will just have to wait and figure out what exactly my design is for that last other Halloween Gunny Sacks type dress. So you know how I was just not really being a big fan of that mock-up, particularly since it was not working for me? Well, I was at Joann's today getting more of the glitter tool, so I can go ahead and cut out that last panel of glitter tool, but there was a long line at the cutting counter, so naturally I was in the pattern section because there's a simplicity sale, and I found this pattern right here, which is 8873 that I did not know existed. Apparently it's from 2019. And the bodice is super, super cute. And I feel like it could be adapted really easily to cross straps in back. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna mock this up and give it a try, and we'll see how it goes. So a couple things about this pattern. For one, it is very not size inclusive. This only goes up to a pattern size 20, and so it is not my size at all. Like, I have to size this up at least 2 sizes, and even then it's probably more like 2.5 sizes, to be honest. But on the other hand, it does actually give you cup sizes, and I feel like that kind of helps because I took just the pattern piece, which only goes up to that size 20, and I pinned the darts, and then I just tried it on, you know, kind of like this, and it's actually coming in at the top, whereas so many other patterns just kind of gape up there. Now that said, obviously it's coming in and it's really, really high, and I don't want my jumper dress to be that high. That wasn't what I was going with this pattern. So I'm thinking that I'm going to lower that at least a little bit, maybe to about there-ish, maybe even a little bit lower. And then the other thing, I mean, obviously I need to size it up because it is nowhere near hitting the side seam where it's supposed to. And the other part of that I'm hoping will be solved in the sizing up is that it's really, really far away from my armpit. So again, if I size it up 2.5-ish sizes, I think that will take care of it, but it's nice that it does seem to not be gapping on me in the front. So I think I'm gonna go with just sizing it up. I also don't think I have to mess around with the length. The length seems good. And I mean, part of that is because it's not one that has built-in straps that go to my shoulder, so I don't need to worry about that. But the length is pretty good. I might need to add a little bit right here. We'll see. And then the back I'm going to cut down. So the back of this pattern looks really standard. It just looks like this. I mean, I think it's actually quite similar to pretty much all of my other darted back patterns, except for this angle is kind of mirroring the front angle where it comes in. But I want to cut it down entirely, so it's really gonna wind up more like this. So frankly, it's probably not that different from the back that I was using before. I don't know, we'll see. And then it'll have the cross straps that'll come into here. So I am going to make that mock-up and see how it goes. So this is disappointing. Apparently I was wrong about it not going to gap up top. It's very gap up top. Yeah, this is like, this is ridiculous. Why does this keep happening? Ugh. So, yeah, obviously this is not gonna work as is. The thing is that I'm super, super trying to avoid having a center front seam, which of course would fix all of this problem if I had a center front seam. But with the pattern, it's just gonna be really obvious. Like, there's no way to match this pattern really because it's just all over pumpkins. And so having a center front seam will make half pumpkins and quarter pumpkins and etc. So I'm trying to avoid that, but I don't seem to be able to avoid that because there's this. So I am honestly tempted to just fold this mostly down. It's also just like too big. I guess that's the other, it is literally like way too big around. So clearly I sized it up wrong, but yeah, there's all sorts of issues. Obviously though, for those of you who have seen my blue gingham jumper dress, if I wind up bringing this down a whole lot, at some point I'm just gonna get to that jumper dress. Like, it's pretty much the same sort of thing. Dart in the side here, I think is what that had. Did it? No, that one was the one with the diagonal dart. So I don't know, maybe it's not exactly the same, but there's a lot of issues here. I have to figure out how to fix them, so I'm gonna go do that. Okay, so I'm not sure how this happened, but I fixed my problems without even doing another mock-up. It was all in the center back, actually. So I took in the center back. At the top, I took it in 1 7/8 on each side, so 3 3/4 inches total by the time I got to the top. At the bottom, I took it in 1 inch, and somehow that seems to have solved basically everything. I did obviously also change the neckline. What I wound up doing is I just made a little sweetheart out of it. So up here, it's pretty much, I think, exactly where it was before, right where it meets the strap, which is a ribbon right now. And then I created a sweetheart curve down to here. So I think I took about an inch or maybe an 1.25 inches off with the sweetheart. And that seems to have fixed all of the fit issues. Like, it fits really nicely now. The one weird thing is that the back is a little too big right at the waist and the front's a little too small, but I don't think it's enough to bother me. Like, my side seam is just curving a little bit this way. And then I like where I have the strap pinned. So I think that's what I'm gonna do with both the straps. And I'm gonna make my straps the width of this ribbon, which is 1.5 inches wide, so that should be easy enough. I'll just mark where the straps hit on here. The one thing that I'm still debating about is that I realized when I went to Joann's today, I forgot to get a zipper. Now, if you've seen all, I think, of my recent projects, I have wound up trying to put a zipper in and then taking out that zipper because it just was being in the way or not fitting or whatever. And so I'm kind of thinking, like, do I try to do this without a zipper? Or will the cross straps kill me when I try to take this on and off? Because cross straps can be really confusing to put on if you've never done that before. So yeah, I mean, I really like it as is. I would love to not have to have a zipper. So I think I'm just going to make it without a zipper, and then I can always put one in if I need it, I guess. But I think I'm ready to cut the pumpkin fabric, as in the bodice part, since I've already cut the skirt. And I'm gonna cut this out in the pumpkin fabric, cut the straps out in the pumpkin fabric, and cut pockets out, and put it together, and we'll see how far I get. So I have the bodice assembled and the straps assembled but not attached to the bodice, and the skirt assembled but not gathered or attached to the bodice or hemmed. And I decided that this is a lot of pumpkin, and that therefore the best way to do the finishings of this, aka finish up the neckline and underarm area and finish up the waistline, would of course be piping, because I'm me. So I started cutting out piping out of cotton sateen, and then I started making said piping. I mean, I cut 3 strips of it, I sewed the piping, the yarn in a bunch of it, and then I just kind of was like, you know what, it's not looking very black. It's looking kind of pale. So I held it up next to a strip of the pumpkin, and sure enough, like, the blacks do not match. Like, this is just really pale. So then I looked at the Supima cotton that I used for the liner, and I'm like, wait a second, this is true black. Like, when you compare the two, I don't know how much this is actually going to read on the camera, but when you compare the two, these are 2 completely different shades of black. This one's like true black, and this one's like, I don't know, almost gray purple black. And when you compare it to the black on here, I think you can tell that on the screen, I hope you can, that like this is a much closer match than this, which is not. It looks gray, it looks so wrong. So of course now I've already made a whole bunch of it. So I have to start over on the piping and make it out of this instead, or I guess I could give up on the piping. I don't know, it's just so cute. But I suppose I don't need it. I could just do bias tape. Maybe I'll just do bias tape. I don't know. I'll let you know what I decide. Okay, little moment of duh. It looks kind of nice on the white blouse to have the line of piping, but for the most part, this is Halloween. I'm gonna be wearing this with a black shirt. No one's gonna see the piping. So I think the answer is no piping. Let's finish this with some bias tape. All right, so the dress is assembled and I have finished the binding on here. I did go with just the bias binding. So I sewed that on one side and then sewed it by hand the other side. So I just finished doing that, which means now it is time to fit the straps. Now the way that I've decided to do this so that I can still pull this on over my head and not get stuck in all of that is that I've decided that the straps are going to button in the front. So I finished one end of the strap. This side is all finished, and that I haven't decided yet if it's going to go over the dress and have a button there or under the dress and have a button. I'm kind of thinking cute decorative button would be pretty cute. So that is gonna go right about here-ish. And Emily is here to help me fit my straps. She doesn't want to be on camera, so we're not gonna put that part on camera, but I'll show you what the straps look like once they are fit in the back. So not to spoil the final reveal, but the straps are now on. I have even done buttons. I did little vertical buttonholes on the straps and I chose like a cute little sparkly black button, and then the straps cross in back. So Emily helped me fit that and they are fitting great. The back straps are just sewn with one stitch line from the sewing machine right on the edge, and then the inside of the strap is whipped down and then the straps just button. So the whole thing is able to pull on. It's a little bit tight, but I can pull it on because it doesn't have a zipper, and then I do up the straps afterwards, so I have to kind of reach over and pull the straps, but it fits really well. So I still have to do the hem, but then it is completely done. I am going to cheat and not measure the drop out of the hem because it really doesn't look like it's dropped out much. So I am just gonna say, I mean, it was already hanging for like 2 nights, I think, at this point, and it would have dropped out by now. So I am actually just gonna hem it as is. I'm gonna turn a really narrow hem, so it will probably lose about like 3/4 of an inch total by turning it twice. And I'm gonna hem that on the machine, and then the dress will be done and I will show you the final reveal. So overall, I am honestly so happy with how this came out. I feel like it took a little bit to get there as far as like the fit of the bodice and the neckline and all of that, but in the end, it's really exactly the shape that I wanted. I mean, I know I had originally talked about flat with a notch, but I actually kind of love the sweetheart on here. I love the shape of the straps, and I especially love how they cross in the back. I think it's so cute. And so yeah, I am just in love with this and I want to wear it every day and never take it off, except of course that I'm making more fall stuff. So that's probably going to change. So do make sure that you check back next week for a whole other fall project, because I'm going to be moving right along with all of the fall things. If you liked this video though, please do go ahead and click the thumbs up icon. And if you'd like to see more videos like this from me, for example, the rest of my fall projects, please make sure to click subscribe and the little bell icon so that you're notified every time I post a new video. I do post videos here on YouTube twice a week, with my sewing vlogs like this out on Tuesdays and other costuming content out on Saturdays, but I post every day over on my Instagram, so please go follow me on Instagram. That's at Lady Rebecca Fashions. And if you'd like to help support all of the work that I do on this channel, I do have a link to my Patreon and my Ko-fi down in the description below. I'd also like to give a special shout out to my Edwardian level patrons, Sharon and Angela. Thank you all so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful week, and I will see you very soon in my next video. Happy sewing! Get in for content.